Are you a complete beginner when it comes to building websites and you have no idea where to get started and you want to do it the easiest way possible with the lowest amount of time invested into learning how to build a website? If so, stay tuned because we're going to be talking about a easy to use website builder and then the other options that are out there as well that might be a little bit more intermediate to advanced that actually don't require any coding whatsoever to get a website built. And like I said, today we're going to be talking about the easiest way. So go ahead and roll that intro and stay tuned, guys. What's going on, guys? Chad here from How To Tech, the channel dedicated to helping you take your tech to the next level. And today we are going to be talking about what I feel like is probably the easiest way to build a website with no prior knowledge on any coding. And we're not even going to be talking about coding today. This website builder is actually just drag and drop, which means you set pages up and it's as simple as saying, I want text here. You drag a box there and then you input text there. You want an image, you drag it there and then you upload an image. It is super easy and I hope you guys will see that from this video and it helps some of you guys out. So if you guys do experience any issues when building your website, I want to also mention I have a community Discord linked down below. Go ahead and check that out and go ahead and go to the community tech support if you're having problems with building your website or you need some help with something. If I've got time, I would be more than happy to help any of you guys that might be experiencing some issues. So without further ado, let's go jump onto the computer and I'm going to show you guys Weebly.com, which is what I feel like is probably the easiest website builder to get started with. So let's go ahead and check it out.
All right, so before we go ahead and get started, I want to mention a few things. One, there should be timestamps on the screen right now, and they should also be in the description if I've done my due diligence. And what those are going to do is allow you to jump back and forth inside of this video if for some reason you get lost, or if you've already watched the tutorial and you need to remember how to do something, go ahead and check those out to jump around. Or if you're trying to see if this video covers something that you are interested in, definitely check it out. Also, I want to mention this is not a full in-depth guide for how to use Weebly. This is not a full course on this. This is for people who need to get a website up or are wondering, can I build a website, or how easy is it to do it, or is it really difficult? I want to say it's not that difficult. It's very easy. And I'm going to be covering how to do most of the basic things that you would want to do with the website in this video. Also, this video is not sponsored by Weebly. I'm not getting any financial incentive for making this video or anything like that. Just want to get that out of the way for you guys. And the reason we went with Weebly, while there are other options out there, is I feel Weebly is a very intuitive interface for new people to create a website. And it also gives you tons of templates, in my opinion, that look very good, that can help you create a professional looking website in less than a day, and sometimes even in less than a few hours if you want to go ahead and jump into it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get signed up for Weebly. So that's the first thing I want you guys to do. Go ahead and get signed up for Weebly, and I'll see you guys on the other side. So after you've created your account, you should be greeted by this page. And before we go ahead and jump into choosing one of these settings, I do want to say is if you got to that point at some point and maybe even used Weebly before, you might actually be dropped into your dashboard. And this is where you're going to be after you've logged out of Weebly and you come back to edit your website at any point in time. This is where you're going to be at. And if you were looking to create a new website there, you would actually click on My Site and then click Add Site. So if you're in that situation, hopefully that keeps you from being confused to being like, I don't see these two things. I only see a dashboard with nothing in it. This is how you get there. For this tutorial, we're just going to be going with I just need a website. But if you guys plan on integrating a store or something, I would still suggest, if you're not familiar with a website builder, using the I just need a website and then maybe going back and then doing another site of where you go ahead and then you create it with the store. But if you're just prototyping or figuring out whether or not you can actually create a website, this is the way to go in my opinion. And then we're going to be greeted with themes. So themes are essentially super helpful because they give you an idea of what your website might look like whenever you're done with it, and gives you options to simply just replace content in some areas and have a really professional looking website super quick. And we can see that we have different categories for those. This first one's going to be for somebody that might be creating a business. Now, by all means, if you're just creating a personal website or something for you and your friends or anything else that's not related to these categories, feel free to use them. That's what they are just typically set out for in the way that the theme is set up. We can also see that we have options for portfolios. These are going to be probably a little bit more artsy and centered around graphical images or actual just photos. And that's to show off the portfolio. We can see that there's ones for personal stuff, events, and a bunch of other things that we can see, and find the one that you want to use. For this tutorial, we're going to go ahead and actually use this one right here because I like this one. I've used it before on a few training seminars that I've done, and people tend to be able to grasp how to use Weebly very easy with this one because it's a very basic theme. And I want to mention that whenever you click on these themes, it gives you the option to preview them. You're not setting yourself to using these, and you can actually go through, look at these, figure out, how do some of these pages look, and what might be the easiest for you to start with to where you can add your content to. So we're going to go ahead with this one, and to do that, we're going to click on Start Editing. The next thing we should see is the website editor, and it's actually kind of hidden behind us selecting our domain. So we're going to talk about two things right now. One is a professional domain, and the other one is a subdomain. And I'm going to go ahead and type something in here because this is asking what we want our domain to be. So we're going to say how to tech test is what the domain that we want, and click search. And we can see that howtotechtest.com right down here under the professional domains is available, and it says it's included for free with a 1-year plan. Now, the professional domains are going to be anything that is like howtotechtest.com, or what I would say your website name that you want it to be .com, or other options might be .org, .net, things like that. Those are available, but they do require you to have a hosting plan for that domain, and then also you have to pay a fee for that domain every year. And I know most of you that might be watching this video might be like, hey, I don't want to spend tons of money. I just want to know if I can build a website, or maybe I just want to build a website and I want it to be for free, and I don't want to have to host it or any of those things, or pay for the hosting. And that is an option as well, and that's where we get into subdomains. Subdomains right here is going to be howtotechtest.weebly.com. So we're between the website name and the .com, we are adding in another domain, which is Weebly, and that makes our website a subdomain of Weebly. I know that might sound kind of confusing if you've never messed with websites before, but the one thing I can say is if you go with a subdomain, you're not going to have to put in any kind of credit card information, and you can go ahead and get started with messing around with things and seeing if this is the website editor for you, or whether or not you want to take the time to build a website. So we're going to go with the subdomain for this video because I don't want to buy a domain just to show you guys a tutorial on a website editor. And after we do that, it actually says that our subdomain setup has completed and that this is now our subdomain. But it also says after you publish the website, it'll be available. That means that this website is currently not available. We click on it and it gives us a 404 error, page not found. So I'm going to click the back arrow and we're going to go back to our editor. And the reason it gave us that error is because our website hasn't been published. The publish button is up here, and I'm going to go ahead and publish it right now because this is just a test website for this tutorial, and this website is now published. It'll say website published, give you the option to share it, and it'll constantly tell you, hey, you can get all these cool things. All you got to do is upgrade your website. So that's kind of the thing that you get with going with the free one. They're going to constantly try to upsell you into a plan to go ahead and have those features. But if you want a website, as you can see right now, howtotechtest.weebly.com is up, and I've created this without entering any information such as credit card information or things like that, and it was completely free for me. With that being said, definitely go check out the website. I'll probably go ahead and link it down below. That way you guys can go ahead and check this out at any point in time and see the progress that we make in the span of this video. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out because we're not really interested in that now, and we're going to talk about a few different things. The first thing I want to talk about are the tabs up here. These are kind of your workspaces. Building is going to let you build and adjust and edit anything on this page, and we'll talk about that because that's the first thing I want to mention. Pages are going to allow you to view how many pages you have, and there's different types of pages. We'll talk about that in a second. Theme allows you to actually go in and we can change our theme from a light theme to a dark theme depending on the theme that we're using. And we can see that the dark theme actually doesn't look too good with this current theme. And we can actually go in and change it. If we say, hey, we don't like the one with the puppies on it, we can go ahead and change it to the one with the dude getting his beard cut, or some woman doing yoga, or some kind of smoothie website, or whatever that may be. By all means, at any point in time, feel free to go ahead and change those over. And also remember, you have the option to preview them as well. That way you don't screw up any of the work that you may have already started. There are also apps, and I'm not going to be covering any apps in this video, but there are some really cool apps that you can add in that gives you more content inside of the page editor, and that's kind of really neat. But like I said, we're not going to be covering that because it's a little more advanced. And then we've got the settings tab that lets you change the title of your site, which is a good thing I would suggest doing. So your website doesn't say at the top bar up here like it says Weebly. If we went to our site right now, it would say my site instead of howtotech.weebly.com. So we'll do that. Actually, it says home. So we're actually kind of good there. But this is a good thing to change. So we'll just name this How to Tech Test. And we'll go ahead and save it. And you can actually set your category of your business or of your website. You can change it from business to online store to personal, all that stuff. And some of these things right here, you can see that the favicon, which is just the little icon that's in the top right next to your tab, you have to pay or upgrade your site to be able to have access to that. And there's a bunch of other stuff in here that we're really not going to be covering. So let's go ahead and jump back to the build tab, and we're going to talk about some of the elements and bounding boxes and things like that. Getting started with building, we can see whenever we hover over some of the information in here that we actually have these blue outlines around them. And these are called bounding boxes. This just shows you the content and how much space it takes up. So if we hover over this right here, we can see that this is labeled as a spacer. And we can see that whenever we go off of it, it doesn't have anything. All it does is serves the purpose of taking up space. And this just makes your websites look a little bit more appealing. And we can see that there's a few things that we see with something like this. We'll talk about this little blue bar here at the bottom in a little bit, but this essentially just makes the spacer a little bit longer, and that's cool. But the main things we want to talk about, honestly, are this thing up here at the top. This actually allows us to move it. So this gives us kind of control over where we place objects. And the thing on the left gives us the option to move these to different pages, or we can actually copy it to this page or a different page. So we're going to copy the spacer here, and we can see now that we have two spacers. On the right hand side, we can see that we also have an X, and this is going to allow us to delete the element that's currently on the screen. Moving over to some of the basic elements that we're going to see, those are going to be titles and text, and we can see those over here that we have titles and text. We're going to go ahead and drag some text in right here, and we can see that it says click here to edit, and all we have to do is type here. So I'm just going to type here. I'm going to type that in that box. And we can see that it's over here to the left side, and that's not that appealing because all this other content is centered on the screen. So we can select that and double click or triple click or just click and drag, highlight all that text, and we can center it to the screen. We can change the font color. We can scale up the font in size or scale it down, whatever we want. Make it bold, italicized, underscore, all that stuff that we want to do. And we can also make list and stuff with some of these bulleted list or even numbered list options. And we can use this button here to remove all the formatting that we did. And there's just a bunch of neat things. And we can also undo, redo, all of that cool stuff. And it just makes it a little bit easier when using something like this. We're going to go ahead and delete this one. And I'm going to show you probably my favorite part about using a template, and that is that pretty much everything inside of these templates are able to be edited. So it's as simple as if you wanted to make a very professional website using the layout that is currently there offered by these templates, it's as simple as going back in here and saying technology reviews, for example, since we do that from time to time here on How to Tech. And then we could even go down here, instead of saying size doesn't matter whenever it comes to pets, we could say, how about streamer and creator content? And then we could do another one. We could say how to build a website. And we can see that that is super easy to go through there. So you can also see that we can click in some of these secondary boxes and get text updated to have a website up and running very quickly. And another thing that you might see is there are these images on the side, and the images can be adjusted too. By clicking those, we can edit the current image or even replace the image from our computer. So let's just go ahead and add a picture of me for whatever reason and see what that looks like. And it'll go ahead and upload. And we can see that image change now. And yeah, that's cool. But one thing we might notice is we want this kind of centered with this rabbit that's on the side, or bunny, or whatever you'd call it. And we could just add a spacer above me. and we can see that that moves it down, and then we can drag that blue bar that we were talking about and kind of center myself in line with this other stuff. So it's a really neat thing that we can do. And if we wanted to, for example, maybe remove that and add 2 images on this side, we could go ahead and remove that and then drag an image below me. Very easy. And then let go, click on it, and then click upload from my computer. And then for whatever reason, we're just going to go with a plain gradient. It's not something I would suggest putting on your website, but by all means, go ahead and take the time and look at the content you have and update it as you see needed. We can also see on images that in the bottom right hand corner, we actually have the option to resize some of these images. So you could just click on that, drag it to the right to make it bigger, drag it to the left to make it smaller. And yeah, so that kind of covers a lot of the basic stuff you can do. And another thing that's going to look really professional are buttons. And we can see that we can actually click on these on the website and have them do things for us. So first thing is we can change the text, and we could put whatever we want into it. So we could actually say subscribe if we wanted to do like a subscribe button, and then we could change the style if we wanted to whatever we might think would stand out. And honestly, the one that was there was probably the best one for standing out, but you could go through there. And then we can also link it to an external page, another page on our website, have it set up to email an account, download a file. You could do a bunch of different things with it, and it's really cool. So for example, we'll just do HTTPS, and I'll just type in youtube.com, and we'll make sure this box is checked. This is just going to open it in a new window. This is something I like to do. That way, if somebody's on your website, they're never taken off of your website entirely. It just opens up a new page, and that's a really good practice for building a website. So let's go ahead and actually test this button now. We'll go ahead and click publish. And after we've clicked publish, we'll click on this link here, and it'll take us back to our website. And we can actually see the first thing you might be able to tell is technology reviews. Now it shows up here. This is an edit we've already made. Streamer content and creator content is there. The other images and the subscribe button is here as well. And it actually takes you to YouTube now too, which is super neat. And this is a really awesome thing about this. It's something that you can get going very quickly. You can add in images, you can add in text, you can add in buttons, and all of that neat stuff very quickly. The next thing I want to talk about in the builder is actually the header. You might see right here that on this page that you have a picture of a dog, but if you click anywhere here, you actually can't replace it. Well, if you actually hover around the outside here, you can see where it hovers over gray, and we can click here and it gives us an option to edit the background. So we'll go ahead and click edit background, and then we could actually replace that with whatever image we want. So we're going to upload one from our computer, and we're actually just going to use that gradient again. So we'll click on it. And you can see that it actually gives you options to replace it too if you didn't want to use this image. So we could click save here, and it's going to save that image. And if we click here again and then edit the background, we can replace the image again. And instead of using that, we could click on the X, and we can see that there's other predefined backgrounds that we could go with. So for example, if we wanted to find one with something that looked like it had some technology in it, which this right here isn't the best, but I'm going to scroll through this for a second and see if I can find anything. There's a lot of neat little predefined images that might work pretty good. And I think I'm going to go with this one right here because I think this kind of looks a little techy. So we'll click on that, and then we can select there too. That's one thing I kind of want to let you guys know is that there are a lot of stock images built into like backgrounds and headers and things like that are available. Now, images for something like this, you'll have to have your own images or even go on the internet and find some that would look useful or be helpful for your website. Moving over to pages, this is really going to be the last thing that we talk about because, once again, this is a very basic video for you guys to get a website up and running fairly quickly and just covering really the basics of a website. And pages are super important because you might need multiple pages to get across the information that you want. So we can see that by clicking on the different pages here, it allows us to bounce back and forth and kind of see whatever page we want to work on. And once we've selected those, we can actually go back to build and edit those pages as well, which is very useful. And I'm going to go back here, and we can also see that we can change the names of pages. So for example, if we click this back arrow and we wanted to change the contact page to actually say contact us, we can do that, and we can see that it updates here in the navigation, which is really useful. And another thing that we can do is if we click on, say, the About page, we can click Delete, and it's just going to go ahead and completely delete that page for us. Let's do it with the Services page as well. Why not? And now we've only got a home page and a Contact Us page, but let's say we wanted to add a brand new page that we wanted to add content to. Well, that brings up a lot of different options, and we're going to talk about those very briefly. So a standard page is going to be exactly what the home page and the Contact Us page looks like. It's going to be this drag and drop builder and things like that, where you just add text in and images, and it's very easy to use. A blog page is going to be a little bit different. If you guys want to see how to create a blog with Weebly, let me know in the comments down below, and we can look at covering that. It's a little bit more in depth, but it's not difficult. It's very intuitive too. So if you just want to try to mess with it and add a blog page in, go ahead and give it a shot and see if it works for you. And category pages and product pages, those are going to be specifically for if you're selling products on your website or creating a store. So for this tutorial, they're not really that relevant, but those are options as well. If you needed to add a new product into your store, go ahead and create a new product page. And the other is an external page. We're going to go ahead and add an external page now because this is actually a really neat feature. So say we wanted to link out to our YouTube page once again, we could actually do YouTube, and we're just going to link directly to YouTube's homepage. We're going to do youtube.com. And like I said, best practice is to always open a link in a new tab. For the most part, you might have a reason you might not want to, but I'm going to go ahead and select that, click done. And we can see that YouTube is now added here. So let's say we wanted to do that again for something like Twitter. So we'll name this one Twitter. And by all means, go ahead if you want to do this on your own website, link out to your personal pages, right? And we'll click done on that. So now we have YouTube and Twitter, but let's say you have like 5 or 6 different social media sites, and it kind of clutters up the top navigation bar with all of these social media pages. And if you have a bunch of other content on your website, this can get kind of cluttered very quickly. So one thing I would suggest is using these non-clickable menus. So they show up in the navigation bar and they look like pages, but they're actually not. So we're going to go ahead and name ours social media, and this is essentially just creating a navigation category, and we can add other pages below them. So this is not a clickable thing. If you click on it, I clicked on the wrong one. If you click on social media, you can see that it doesn't do anything. Like if we clicked on home, it takes us to the home page. We click on social media, it doesn't do anything. And that's by design. So let's go ahead and drag Twitter and YouTube down below. Well, we can see that they're behind them now on the navigation bar, but if we wanted to nestle them underneath it, all we got to do is make sure they're directly below the social media, and then just drag it to the right ever so slightly, and you can see how that bar gets slightly smaller. And now it's going to hide Twitter because it's actually under social media now, and we can do the same thing with YouTube by dragging it to the right slightly, and now all of our social media links are nestled together. And I kind of like my social media to be above the contact or before that. I like the Contact Us and About to be normally to the right. So I'm going to drag that up above in this list, and it's going to put all the social media links right there in the middle and before the Contact Us page. And the last thing we're going to go ahead and do is we're just going to add in another standard page, and we're just going to say this says About, and we'll go ahead and click done. And yeah, so we can see that we've got a default page. We can go in here like I showed you earlier, and we can change the header, and we'll do this a little bit different this time. So instead of uploading an image from our computer, we're going to click on the X, and we can see that there's some default images that we can actually change this to. And we'll just go with somebody on their computer. And then we'll click save, and then I'll go ahead and save our changes. And then maybe we want this to say About. So we'll type that out, but that's hard to read. So let's highlight it again and change that to black. That might stand out a little bit more. And maybe I don't like the size of this header too. So I'll click on it and I'll drag this down a little bit, make it a little bit smaller. And then it's as simple as going back into the builder that we have, adding in some text, talking about whatever we want, adding a few images to the site. We can add those in as well. And one thing I didn't actually cover inside the editor is one thing you can do is if you drag things up and beside each other, you can see right here, it moves that blue bar to the side. What that's essentially going to do is it's going to split the page so the image is on the right side and the text is on the left. And you could swap those back however you need, and you can have that option as well. And yeah, so we can see we got home, social media, contacts, and about under the pages. And another neat feature is, for example, say you were putting on an event or you had a website page that you didn't need accessible, say for whatever reason. Maybe that's because you're currently updating that page, or because it's not something you want up here in your navigation at all, and you just want to link people to it from social media. Whatever the case may be, you can actually click on that page here in the Pages tab, and we can actually hide that in navigation. And what that's going to do is that's going to hide the About page entirely. But like I said, for an About page, that might not be something you want to hide. But if you have a specific use case for a certain page, definitely go ahead and hide it if you feel like you need to. We're going to uncheck that box, and that page is going to come right back. And then we're going to go ahead and publish, and this is going to be our quote completed site. Obviously, I would put a lot more work into this, but as you can see, it's easy to add images. It's easy to make buttons that link off to websites. And the main thing I'm going to suggest is find a template that you already kind of like, remove the content that you don't need, and update the content as you see fit. So if you feel like there's too much content on the page, go ahead and delete some of it out, and then just replace what you can with images and text and information that you know you can fill up a certain amount of a web page with, and then go back and add in your social media, add in a contact us page, add in all that stuff that you see fit for your website, and then go ahead and click publish, and you're going to have a website that's available to the public. You can link it on your social media, you can put it on a business card, however you see fit.
So all right guys, that's going to be all for this video. If you enjoyed, you know what to do. Go ahead and destroy that like button and get subscribed here to How To Tech for more informational videos that might help you with, say, your website, learning audio, video, editing, camera stuff. We're covering tons of things on this channel, and it's geared towards helping you guys, like I say all the time, take your tech to the next level. So get subscribed if you guys aren't already. Also, like I mentioned earlier in the video, check out our community Discord, linked down below. We've got tons of awesome people that are joining every day, and we're over 1,400 members right now. And I hope to see that grow and see more people in there that are willing to help others that are getting started with their journey with technology, building websites, whatever that may be. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Chad here from How To Tech, helping you take your tech to the next level, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.